Hey y'all, it's Latrice. Listen, I just wanted to log on really quick and encourage you. I was sitting here and I took some pictures of my children, and I just wanted to encourage a mom, anyone. Um, the title of this encouragement says, I gave it all up, sort of. But as I was sitting here in the library homeschooling, and it's a little loud, so sorry, I'm still here. I was smiling and trying to hold back some tears, y'all, because believe it or not, it's these simple moments that matter the most to me. And I was thinking about, who I am and who I'm becoming. And naturally, I've always been a very driven person, right? And I would highlight that. I was driven, I'm a go-getter. And so I had a plan for the plan, a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I had a plan. And I remember I still had my little crumbled up sheet of paper with my 5-year plan. And as I was accomplishing things, I would knock them out. And got married, and my desire has always been to be a corporate transactional attorney. And I really wanted to place the emphasis on international business. I loved international business. And so I thought about, when I went back, I decided I was a court reporter for 16 years. And so I decided to go back and get my degree, pursue law school. My husband said, go for it. Meant starting all over. I was a new mom. I was pregnant by the time I got accepted into UF, University of Florida, and commuting back and forth daily with a newborn. I remember getting up at about 5 a.m. I would pump, take the milk to my mother-in-law. She would watch my baby during the day. I would get on the road to Gainesville. I would have to, most times, I remember it was a gas station to the right. I would pull over and set my clock for 30 minutes, sleep 30 more minutes. My husband did not like that, but it was what it was. He wanted me to make it down in one piece. And then I would make it to class. After class, in between my classes, I would run back to the parking garage, pump some more milk, to be able to hand off. Because listen, I was making milk I wasn't one of them people that just could produce a bunch of milk. And so I would do that, and then I would go back to class. Then I would sleep like 30 more minutes, get home, get Langston, breastfeed him, take about an hour nap, get up, study through the night. Y'all, I don't even know how I made it through, if I be honest. And then I had Miles. So I was commuting my last year with Langston, who was about 4, if I am correct, 5, and Miles was 3. And at one period, I remember one of my semesters, Miles was a newborn. He was jaundiced. It was just all the things, right? But here's the thing. I just remember that my whole goal was to become this corporate transactional law attorney. And I remember when I graduated UF, I was so tired, y'all. And I had so much favor. My dean, when I was pregnant, he had like coordinated for me to meet people in the law school. Was just, he was like, we're just so impressed. We've read your writings, just things. He was like, whatever you need. I had people like, if you need this, they had went through the process. And so my husband had said, do it, and y'all, I heard this still voice, this still quiet voice that said, you didn't ask me. And so I prayed, because I always really did. I gave my life to the Lord at 19, and I stood on Proverbs 3:5-6. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Don't trust in yourself. Don't trust in your wisdom. Well, wisdom comes from God, but you know what I mean. So don't lean to your own understanding is what I mean. And so, y'all, I prayed, and he said no. And I was like, I'm not going to even tell you. I was like, oh, amen, whatever you say. I cried for days. I'm like, I have a plan. I have a whole plan. What do you mean, right? What do you mean that we're not, I couldn't understand. I didn't even know where to go. This was it. I had read, this was the last thing I needed to cross out was law school. And it was like, Lord, I got my business degree. I've done all the things. And what I would tell you, fast forwarding, is little did I know that God had a plan, and I'm still walking that out, right? And so why am I making this video? Because as I was sitting here, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my daughter, making sure, I'm sitting here just thinking about, as I fast forward, I went on to a corporate role that I loved and still had a plan. Okay, I'm going to climb this corporate ladder. But I recognized through that process there was a big difference in being driven and God driven. Meaning, instead of being driven by the goals, I began to put my emphasis on God. God, what's your plan? God, where do you want me to go? And I remember I promoted fast and things happened. But making that story short, I remember when the Lord was letting me know I have more. I want you to go deeper. And so, y'all, as I sit here today homeschooling, I thought about what happens when you feel like you're giving it all up. But little do you know, in God, you don't give anything up. You actually get more. When I was sitting here looking at my kids and watching my son, who's like a budding entrepreneur, I'm not big on putting titles on my kids because I teach them that their only title is servant. They will have assignments, and in some seasons they will have multiple assignments. So I don't want to label them, because I feel like when you say you're going to be a CEO, that's what they're driven to. You could be a CEO, a website developer, and who knows what your assignment is. And so I like to teach them that way, because I'm like, God could give you multiple things. When we like these titles, we confine ourselves. No, take the limits off, Lord. Just say, I'm your servant. Where you want me to serve this season? That's how I tell my children. So anyway, I say that to say, I have this young boy that he blows my mind. And if the truth be told, I would have missed so many of his gifts because I didn't know the gifts and abilities that were sitting right in my own children, in front of my own eyes. I knew they were gifted. I knew they were smart. We invested in, private school and was giving them the best. But who knew that God would say, you're the best. You're the best. And the truth be told, when God calls you, you don't feel qualified. That is the calling, because he qualifies you. He knows what's in you, and through the Spirit of God, he's going to activate those things. But the reality is, you never get called and feel like, all right, Lord, I'm ready. I've been waiting on this call. Or if you do, that ain't good sign, because most times that's going to fall quick, if I be honest. But most time you crying, right? You like, who, me? And that's how I felt. But as I was sitting here, and I'm gonna put some pictures up from today, I looked at my son as I was teaching him mixed numbers. We were doing some fractions and doing spelling, and my daughter was writing her numbers. And y'all, I'm just being honest. You would have to know my personality to know how God-driven I am. I say God-driven because I'm not just driven, but I'm a go-getter. And I will tell you, and pivoted in a season to walk away from a corporate role when I literally got the biggest bonus of my corporate career and a salary increase 3 weeks before I left. But God was like, are you going to obey me? Little did I know, though, I didn't know what he was going to do in my business. I didn't know that I would be building my dream home. I didn't know what he would be doing through my kids and my marriage. And he's still day by day showing me things. I said all that to say, trust God's plan. There's a scripture that I love, and it's in so many different ways, but it says many are the it's Proverbs 16 and 19. I want to read it to you real quick, because I want to read it to you in two different versions, and there's another one. It talks about how God's plan will prevail. There are many plans that we have, right? There's many plans, and I want to read it to you in the Amplified. It says a man's mind plans his way, but the Lord directs.
This is what I look like.
Live is loud. A man's mind plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps and makes them sure. I love it in the New Living Translation, which says we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And that's really what this story is about. I had a plan, but it takes you to surrender and hand your plan over to God. But I always, in my prayer time, tell the Lord, here's my plan, but it's in erasable ink. I really do. I tell him that because I want him to know I'm doing my part, right? I'm writing a vision, but you know me inside and out. And so as I was sitting here today, I just wanted to share that. I wanted to encourage somebody, because it doesn't always make sense. Y'all, my mom will even tell you, she was like, if you don't become an attorney, can you turn it down, Mama? But it was like, try not to get emotional. I just didn't know how he was trying to give me everything. I didn't lose. I'm becoming. I didn't know how much I love writing. I'm working on my own thing. Like, y'all, it's like day by day he's showing me things, right? But my biggest platform, more than helping any woman, more than helping any other child, or being whatever in my ministry and community, this is my platform. Olivia Miles Langston, serving my husband Javier, that is my platform. That's what I relish in. What an opportunity to surrender and submit and cover my husband and be the help that God has called me to be to his life and to our home, to know and to seek God and say, okay, how do you want to use me to teach my children for what you've created them to do? Like, what a privilege. And so I wanted to encourage you through all of that. Maybe you're pivoting. Maybe you know that he's calling you to walk away and it's scary. It's the fear of the unknown, but he never ask you to do anything that he's not going to do much more. Where he guides, he provides. He really does, y'all. He's faithful. He's reliable. And listen, the best thing you can do is surrender to him, because little did I know, I thought my speaking, my passion for reading and law and writing and all that was just for law. But God was like, I'm doing something bigger. Like, I'm going to use them skills on a whole. Don't confine me to this one profession. I can use, y'all, it is just amazing. And then I just looked at my babies and I just was so proud of them in this moment. So I just want to encourage you. It may not make sense. It's all right. Rest and trust his plan. Know that he's doing more than one thing. He's faithful. It won't make sense. Through this little blip of story, I can't even tell you the tears that I've cried. The many times I've felt like I failed, that if I be honest, I'm looking at someone else and they're talking about their check and my bank account don't show my check. But God really reminded me to put my trust in him. And y'all, when I have seen the favor of God on my life, when I've seen favor that's better than money, it's true. So I just want to tell you, trust his plan, surrender to his plan. His thoughts are not your thoughts. His ways are not your ways, but they can become as you surrender, as you ask him, as you invite him, and he will blow your mind. So that's all I want to say. Happy Friday. I pray if you're going through, if you're feeling that tug, whatever it is, just trust him. I know that's hard, right? It's like, we all want to see the plan. It's like, Lord, show me what you're doing. But the truth be told, like my mama said, she was like, girl, if he told you what you was getting ready to do, you'd be like, nah, that's okay. I'm going to stay right here. And she right. So we just got to walk it out. All right. Happy Friday. Bye.